Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving straight into a pretty fascinating medical mystery. It's all about physical decline, aging, and this incredibly important hidden hero located deep inside your back. We're unpacking a brand new study from the journal Experimental Gerontology that investigates exactly how our bodies adapt and, well, maladapt to getting older and simply not moving enough.
So let's just jump right into it. If I asked you right now to name the absolute most important muscle for your daily movement, what would you say? You might instantly think of your quads, maybe your calves, or even your biceps. But I really want to challenge you to think beyond those obvious arm and leg muscles. I want you to think about the scaffolding, that deep, internal architecture that literally holds the whole shebang together, keeping you upright against gravity so your arms and legs can actually do their jobs in the first place.
Section 1. The Hidden Spinal Stabilizer.
Okay, meet a muscle most of us absolutely never think about until something goes horribly wrong. The lumbar multifidus, or MF for short. Now this is the largest and most centrally located muscle running right alongside your lower spine. It's this beautifully complex structure made up of 5 overlapping layers of muscle fibers, and they act as your major spinal stabilizer. The superficial fibers kind of control how your lower back extends, while the deeper fibers compress and really secure the spine. Without the multifidus, maintaining your posture, walking, or literally just sitting upright would be incredibly difficult. And here's the kicker. When this muscle shrinks or changes in size, it's heavily linked to the onset of low back pain, which is actually a leading cause of disability worldwide. Real quick, before we crack open the case files on how this muscle degrades, we need to define a key clinical term you're going to see in the data: sarcopenia. Simply put, this is the age-related loss of muscle mass, strength, and overall function. In a clinical setting, doctors will actually often assess if you have probable sarcopenia just by measuring your hand grip strength. It's a remarkably critical indicator of widespread systemic muscular decline.
So, to investigate our hidden hero, the researchers designed 2 totally distinct studies. First, a cross-sectional aging study, where they compared young healthy adults to older adults, some with sarcopenia and some without. And second, a longitudinal study looking at 10 days of complete horizontal bed rest in healthy young men. We're essentially tracking the effects of father time on one hand and extreme inactivity on the other.
Section 2. Investigation 1. The Aging Effect.
We really want to see precisely how time and age attack this vital spinal scaffolding. And the ultrasound imaging reveals a startlingly clear trend. When comparing young adults to non-sarcopenic older adults, and then to older adults with probable sarcopenia, there's a massive step-down effect. The cross-sectional area of the muscle shrinks quite significantly just as we age naturally, but it takes an even deeper, sharper dive for those older adults actually suffering from probable sarcopenia.
In fact, to put a hard number on that drop, minus 30.1%. That is the sheer drop in multifidus size for probable sarcopenic patients compared to young, healthy adults. Almost a third of their primary spinal scaffolding is just gone. Poof. And honestly, even the older adults without sarcopenia still lost about 21% of this muscle.
But there's a really fascinating twist to this aging investigation. Researchers call it the asymmetry problem. You see, aging doesn't just shrink the multifidus, it actually shrinks it unevenly. The study found that side-to-side asymmetry in this muscle is significantly greater in older adults with probable sarcopenia compared to the youth. Why? Well, think about it. Over decades, older adults might adopt compensatory postural changes. If your spine's discs degenerate or you favor one side because of a bad knee or joint wear, you start putting uneven asymmetrical loads on your back. So over time, one side of your multifidus literally wastes away faster than the other. This unevenness is a very distinct telltale signature of aging.
Section 3. Investigation 2. The Inactivity Trap. Now, what happens if we take healthy, strong youth and force them into total disuse? The researchers put 10 healthy young males into strict horizontal bed rest for 10 full days. No exercise, no sitting up, literally just lying there. The timeline here is wild. Day 0, they establish a baseline using ultrasound. By day 2, nothing much has really happened. The muscle is holding on. But at exactly day 4, the plot thickens. Significant multifidus atrophy strikes. In just 96 hours of inactivity, the body has already begun dismantling the spine's primary stabilizer. Looking at the broader findings from this bed rest experiment, that atrophy detected at day 4 persists and deepens right through days 6, 8, and 10. But there is a massive difference from our aging study. Here, the muscle loss is totally symmetrical. Both sides of the back shrink at the exact same rate.
This proves that rapid short-term disuse degrades the body uniformly, and it happens with alarming speed, even in guys who are young and fit. It's actually a perfect model for understanding what happens to patients during a short hospital stay, or even when you're just stuck in bed recovering from a bad flu.
Section 4. Legs versus back.
So you might be wondering, how special is the multifidus really? To answer that, the researchers compared our hidden spinal hero against a very well-known leg muscle, the vastus lateralis. That's the large muscle on the outside of your thigh. And the crucial point is comparing how these two muscles react. Both the spine muscle and the thigh muscle show a similar overall percentage of shrinkage as we age. However, the multifidus is far more sensitive. The thigh muscle actually couldn't clearly distinguish between a healthy older adult and one with probable sarcopenia. But the multifidus, it showed clear, consistent, and highly pronounced differences, making it a far superior internal biomarker for detecting deep, systemic aging.
And this is beautifully illustrated when we jump back to the bed rest study. The data shows absolutely zero correlation between muscle loss in the leg and muscle loss in the back during disuse. I mean, the correlation coefficient was literally minus 0.005. That means a young guy in a hospital bed might lose a ton of thigh muscle, but his back muscle might hold up just fine, or completely vice versa. They respond totally differently to inactivity. You cannot simply look at a person's shrinking legs and assume you know what's happening to their spine.
Section 5. The final verdict.
All right, it's time to synthesize these two case files and see exactly what they tell us. Case closed on the multifidus. Here's what you absolutely need to take away from this explainer. First, this vital scaffolding is naturally smaller in older populations, making it a highly sensitive indicator of widespread muscle weakness or probable sarcopenia. Second, if the muscle is shrinking asymmetrically, meaning one side is visibly smaller than the other, that is a distinct signature of aging and decades of postural compensation. And finally, extreme inactivity is a modern villain. It causes rapid, symmetrical shrinkage of your spine's core support system in just 4 days.
I think the authors of the study hit the nail on the head when they concluded the MF is a highly plastic muscle in response to aging and disuse, and its assessment may serve as a potential hallmark of muscle maladaptation. Basically, it is incredibly adaptable, but that exact same trait makes it incredibly vulnerable to our lifestyle choices.
I want to leave you with this final thought. Your spine is held together by an intricate, hidden scaffolding that practically begs to be used. If just 4 days of lying around can visibly shrink the very muscle that keeps you upright against gravity, how are you going to change your daily movement habits today? Keep moving, protect your scaffolding, and never underestimate the hidden heroes in your biomechanics. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.